Hello and welcome to the Be Smart About Art show. We're here today with Deborah, aka Debs Henry-Pollard. Debs, hello.
Hello there.
I'm Susan J. Mumford. I'm your host and the founder of Be Smart About Art. Many people who watch the show know that I'm a serial entrepreneur in the art market. And on the Thursday edition of the show, that's up until today, some changes are coming soon, so keep an eye out for updates. We have the storytelling session. I think at this time in the world, we really do. We have a great need for stories, and how better to connect with people and to learn than to hear stories. So Debs, who I have known for a number of years now, she is a wonderful business coach for the creative industries. She has worked over the years with a number of Be Smart About Art folks, and she has a lot of her own clients as well. And she won in-person networking events and art events, and all kinds of things are happening. You'll often see Debs out and about in London. At the moment, she's at home in Southeast London, and I am in Lewis in East Sussex. So we've brought Debs on today to talk about tango and what we can learn from tango, which is all very interesting. So Debs, I'm handing straight over to you to tell us about your tango story.
Right, well, here we go. Here is a tango shoe. This is an object that means a lot to me. It symbolizes a very important time in my life, which happened in my mid-40s. When I started to learn tango, which had been a very long-held ambition, but which I hadn't done because of all the excuses, all the excuses we all have about, I'm going to look foolish, I'm too old, blah, 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 blah. We all go through it. But there came a point where I went, no, I'm actually going to do it. So I researched a lot of websites and I found a club which sounded very welcoming, and they were doing 3 weeks of lessons, 2 hours over 3 weeks, 3 sessions. And I thought, that's great. That's only 3 weeks I've got to commit. So if I don't like it, or I'm absolutely dreadful, which of course I will be because I won't be good at it, it's not going to be forever. I can say I've tried it and then go on to something else. I was very, very nervous when I went to my first session. However, I was bitten by the bug. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And it was like, after all these years, I had finally found the creative practice that I loved, and I loved the whole tango community. And so this shoe symbolizes a great deal from that point of view. But alongside of all of this, I was also very dissatisfied with my job, where I was a fundraiser. And the logical step was to go to the next level of fundraising. The only problem was I'd never wanted to be a fundraiser. So I went to a coach, and this was the first time I'd actually ever come across coaching. And it was very fascinating to see what happened when the two came together. Because the two strands were running parallel, and the coaching gave me great insights into what I could do, what I wanted to do, all the possibilities that there were out there. And the tango had given me the confidence to step out of my comfort zone, quite literally, because I thought, well, if I could learn a whole new activity, such as tango, I'd never done partner dancing before, anything like that. Why couldn't I learn to run a business and become self-employed? So what this shoe symbolizes, this very simple shoe, is it's never too late to learn something new or change direction. And it's also a symbol of the career that I'm doing now, which is my passion and I believe my vocation, which is coaching. Because in my world, the world of coaching and tango are incredibly similar. Tango is an improvised dance, so you don't kind of have that thing where if you take this one step, then the next 7 steps will be. You take the next step, you have no idea what your partner is going to do. at all. You can be changing direction, you can be doing all kinds of things to the music, you can be avoiding other dancers, I mean, just anything. So the keys to tango are listening, being able to switch direction very quickly, and also about developing a relationship. And those are things which are so important in tango. And also, of course, trust. You have to trust that your partner isn't going to fling you in the direction of oncoming traffic, or isn't going to pull you over, and is going to listen to what you're capable of doing. And also might stretch you a little bit as well. So to me, coaching and tango are absolutely the same thing.
And Debs, I can hear in what you're saying another analogy, which is, I mean, it's traditionally the artist-gatherist relationship, or artist with agent, whatever relationship. What's your take if we extend this analogy to, say, professional partnerships as well?
Oh, I think it's absolutely the same, because it's all about listening, not making assumptions. That's another big one as well, because you can't assume that if your partner in tango is leading you that way, that you're going to keep going in that particular direction, or isn't just going to suddenly stop. You have got to be listening all the time and just taking everything as it comes and responding to that. And also sometimes throwing in your own little, we call them decorations, where you throw in something that spices stuff up. But it's all about communication. I mean, tango is actually all about communication. It's not even about, I mean, I've had dances with people who are just starting out on their tango journey, who can't do clever steps, who perhaps don't understand the music that well. But if you listen to each other, you can actually have a lovely dance, because you create what we call the tango moment. It's the moment when you're both in such synchronicity, you're both so connected that you could do anything, and you know that it will be wonderful, because it's about that. It's the same thing you see sometimes with actors on stage, or in films, where you can almost feel the chemistry between them, and you almost you can just trust whatever they're going to do, because you know it will work, because it's may I say, Susan, it's a bit like you and me as well. When we're on these things, I'm just sitting here thinking, we do so many of these things together where we don't have a script. Where we do.
We do, and then we do what we want to do.
And then we do what we want to do. And this is so like tango, because you have certain forms, there are things that there are certain principles in that you only go forward and backwards and side to side, but then when you throw in a pivot, that takes you in all kinds of directions. So there are some guiding principles and rules, but you have that as a foundation. And then on top of that, it's about, well, how do we interpret this as we're working together? So it's all about collaboration. It's all about listening to what's going on and responding to that. It's not about, so often when we're in conversation, we're just waiting for the other person to stop talking so that we can put our point in. And it happens, it happens to me. I do it as well, even though I'm trained to listen. We get overexcited by our ideas. But really, the perfect moment is when you're just listening to what the other person says, and just listening, and then thinking about responding, rather than I want to say that. And it is about dancing, and there's a playfulness in dance as well, and it's something that you can bring to any relationship. I think if you want to know how to communicate, learn how to tango.
And I wonder, do you think that this would apply to other dancing forms? I'm just thinking that back in the day, I did a lot of Lindy hopping. And I know that I had to learn to just really tune in to what the lead was doing. And I guess I had to let go as well, which is useful for me.
The hardest thing I found when I started tango was being led, because I don't do being led.
Yep. I
never do being led. And the only way that I could get through it was after about 3 or 4 months. I just thought, within this particular sphere, I'm going to become totally submissive just so that I can learn. And it was really valuable, because then what happens is you can then turn that on and off, so that when you're dancing, you can choose, at this moment, I'm just going to be led. Oh, there's this thing coming up where I want to do this. So then you can almost take the lead back. And it actually, again, going back to the coaching, one of the keys is that as a coach, I provide the space, and the content, if you like, is provided by the client. We talk about what they want to talk about. And what I do is help direct. So sometimes I am leading the conversation a little bit, like, oh, that's interesting. They keep saying that. Let's go down that path. Other times I am led, and it's wonderful. And you switch all the time. It's wonderful. It's a fascinating relationship, both in dance. And I think I think you're right, in any partner dance, even if it's one that's quite prescriptive, you still have to be listening to the other person, because they maybe the energy is different from normal because they're having a bad day or something. So you have to be responsive to that.
So Debs, I know that at the moment it's easy enough for you. You were telling me actually only earlier today that you've been mostly coaching creative professionals on using online means, or even the telephone sometimes, for the last 18 months. So that I can see that. I can see professional partnerships between artists and galleries, or whatever the professional relationship. I can see those things continuing right now. How does one get their tango fix at this point in time is my burning question for you.
You can, there's some wonderful videos on YouTube. You can follow, there's a couple of dancers called, their name is Los Ocampos, and they're wonderful. In fact, one of the dancers, this was her shoe, and she wore it once, and then she didn't like them, and I tried them on and went, oh, that feels nice. So it is wonderful. This is a professional dancer's shoe. They do some great videos. It's wonderful just to watch them, but there's some great videos where you can see the technique. And if you can walk, you can tango. So you can just play some tango music, and you can just walk quite, at your own speed around the room, just on the beat, and you just let the music dictate how you move. It's wonderful.
And I imagine even somebody who couldn't walk could still really enjoy that tango music and move around.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite, it's fantastic music. It pulls, I won't go into the whole history, but it pulls music in from all around the world. It's a real fusion, actually, of music from Europe and America and Africa. So
which is fascinating itself, thinking about all those different locations. And what this takes me back to, if I do a full kind of loop, if I think back to the earlier days of Be Smart About Art, giving talks and different types of professional development, was that we developed an analogy, and I think that was actually with Marcus McAllister, who was speaking at the time. So an artist based in Paris who's a one-to-one advisor with Be Smart About Art alongside Debs. And we were talking about how in the professional partnership, that is the artist and say dealer, or artist gallerist, artist agent, that it's a dance. And we were talking about how it's a dance in terms of how you start those working relationships. And so it's fascinating to me that here we've come today talking about tango, and we've yet again seen that parallel with dance. So I think if people are starting new professional relationships, whether that be with a coach, or it could be with a peer, even it could be peer-to-peer mentoring, it could be with a client. I can see this applying to, say, an art collector. I mean, so many scenarios. Think about how it's a dance back and forth, and it's give and take, and it's listening, and I love it, Debs.
Yes, and dancing is also fun.
And that's something that we really need right now. Makes me want to jump up and do the Charleston, and maybe I'll do that on another show sometime. So Debs, how can people keep up to date with you and all your different ideas, and you're finding out about your book and everything else?
Thank you. Well, the best place to go really is my website, which is www.catchingfireworks, all as one word, .co.uk. And on there are all the links to all my social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm in lots of places, and soon to be on Patreon as well.
Great, fantastic. And I certainly enjoy following Deb's posts. And you do, it's wonderful because at the moment as well, you're sharing a lot about artists' activities, people doing the artist support pledge, people just doing various things. And it's always informative, it's always interesting. And I think what you're doing at the moment on social media is really, it's really insightful. Debs, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And so we are going to be signing off the Be Smart About Art show in a moment. But before you go, I'll just say that we do have a growing community over at patreon.com ourselves. So check out patreon.com/Be Smart About Art and see everything that we are doing there. As I was alluding to at the very beginning as well, we are changing up our program at the moment. So keep your eyes peeled, because what you are going to see is that we have got a slightly revised program being announced. And that's really based on feedback that we've received and what we've been seeing working well for other people as well during the whole pandemic. When so many people have jumped online, we were already online and we're doing it in a bigger way more than ever. As it says on the screen behind me, participate, connect, and grow. And that's what we really encourage you to do, not only in Be Smart About Art as a community, but in your various communities. By participating, by connecting with other people, you're able to grow as a professional and as a person. And I guess an encouragement we have for everyone right now is just to keep it simple. Keep your offering simple. Be supportive, ask for support when you need it, and remember that Be Smart About Art is indeed here to help you thrive in an ever-changing art world. Thank you, Debs.
My pleasure.
And for anyone who's a member, we're jumping into the member masterclass now. So see you over there.